Hi, it's Dave. Welcome to the channel again. That's Oscar. He's very, very keen to go on a walk, and he's very annoyed because he keeps thinking every time I get up and get towards like putting some kind of element of clothing on that we're going for a walk, and you can see his ears pricking up because he's heard the word walk. But that will come after this video. So it's Sunday. Been to the gym. Got a 7k running after that. This fella is ready to rock and roll as well, so I'll get some more steps in. So I thought, house is quiet, let's do a vid. The first thing I thought of was the reason why I'm doing these videos is mainly due to very untimely departing of this earth of two friends of mine. Well, three if you include someone else a few years previous. But last year, one of my gig going buddies, Gaz, had always been on about doing a video. You do a channel, oh, your collection, you've got so many things. And never really felt the need to do that, really. I quite like watching everybody else. I'm quite nosy. Anyway, yeah, he passed away in the autumn of last year, and it's been a couple of gigs I've been to recently, which he would have been there, and obviously wasn't. So they've been a bit odd. But his sister passed me a big box of his tickets from gigs that he'd been to, many of them with me. Some of them got my name, I booked them. And I was like, well, blimey, there's some really good, really early Oasis, really early Charlatans. There was a Soundgarden one in there from 93, I think 94. So I didn't know him until early 2000s. But it turned out there's a lot of the same gigs anyway. So I thought with some of these tickets, especially with the tickets that they used to do when they were really cool with nice designs and everything, the stuff that we were at, whether we were there together, which we normally were, or whether we were just at the same venue, I did a bit of a collage. I'm just going to have it sort of tucked away in a corner, but I think it's just nice to look at. So I did that. If you did the tickets now, it'd just be like a black and white with like just something printed out on A4, wouldn't it? It'd be rubbish. So a lot of the more recent stuff isn't here. But just to run through a few. Now that's a lie. I didn't go to that Stone Roses gig, Manchester Apollo. I went to the one at Sheffield Arena. Couldn't get a ticket for that. But the one at the Arena blew my mind. John Squire was turned up to about 450 on the Richter scale, and Ian Brown was drowned out, which was good for everybody involved. Because when he wasn't drowned out on Made of Stone, it really was one of the worst things I've ever heard in my life. But the gig was amazing. We weren't together at that one. That's Oasis. I'm not really an Oasis fan, but I got swept up alongside a lot of it. So a lot of these bands I don't watch anymore, or quite a few of them. So Oasis at the 9X, now called the MEN. That was one of our Black Road Motorcycle Club. We never missed a tour. And the Black Angels, the pair of us, would not miss a tour. And I would say the same for Pure Essence. I would say the same for Mogwai. Brian Jonestown Massacre until recently. I've not been seeing them the last couple of trips over, but I've seen them a lot. Mercury Rev. My Morning Jacket. That's the Charlatans at Delamere. If you're from Northwich, you've got to like them whether you like it or not. Oasis at the Reebok. Beginning of the end for me, that really. It's just too big. The Charlatans, that was at Old Trafford. That's that band Carl Melton I mentioned to you, just at the bottom there. You see. Mark Lanegan. We're big fans of Mark Lanegan. The Earlies, if you remember them. Cast, no, so them at all, but we were there. Kurt Vile, that was a really boring gig. Didn't enjoy that at all. Gomez, interestingly enough, I didn't go to that. I had a ticket for it though, and I still got the ticket, but I went to watch Crew that night against Blackburn in the League Cup. So I quite like, I put that there just because it's funny that I didn't go. Lush, that was their reunion gig at the Roundhouse. So some really good stuff. The Verve, that was when it all went crap again. That was at Manchester Central when they first came back with the, when they came back for the album Fourth, they played like loads of really cool venues, like at Blackpool Empress Ballroom, and I went to Glasgow Academy for the first night, and they played some amazing stuff in the back catalogue. And by this point, it was just all urban hymns, and it was really dull. It was a Richard Ashcroft show again. So, and that was the end of that. But Seahorses, yeah, I don't know what to make of that. The Warlocks, that was when you could still smoke inside a venue, I think. And there was a lot of herbal cigarettes. The dry ice was constant throughout the gig. They're a very, I would say, very drug orientated band, and it was 1 hour of just drone psych, 3 guitars, 2 keyboards, bass, only 1 drummer then, but they have had 2. Brilliant. Don't think they've ever hit the heights. That was off their second album, which is called Phoenix, which is brilliant. But yeah, there you go. So did that. It's not going to go up on the wall, and it's just going to go just in a little corner, and something I can just, it's just a nice little reminder. So yeah, here's the reason why I'm doing that. The other guy who also mentioned it is, if you've ever been to Chester record shopping on Brook Street, a place called Grey and Pink Records, and we lost a really good guy there. He's worked there since, I don't know, forever, I think, mid-80s, and Paul, his name was, and we went to gigs together, and he didn't drive, so occasionally I'd drop him off for stuff, and we'd hang out in the shop, and I got so many recommendations from him. He came to watch my band a few times, and just a very, very, very lovely soul. And had a stroke pre-Christmas, and yeah. So he'd been on about it as well, so hence why we're here. So you're going to have to put with me a little bit longer until you all say otherwise. Again, thanks for any new followers. I say building up nice and slowly. I'm not hitting too many videos too soon and boring the life out of everybody. I hope not. Just a few things that when they pique me interest, and a little bit of interaction with other people in the VC. I'm also going to be on, I don't know if you know the I Dig Vinyl. They do a stream called Vinyl Whistle. So I've been asked to do that on the 11th of September, where I'll be talking all things Crewe Alexandra and others such footballing topics, hot topics, and music as well. So by all means, tune in for that. Just a few new additions to wrap up. As you might know, I mentioned in the last video, Porcupine Tree have completely taken over my listening. So Fear of a Blank Planet, this is probably regarded as their best album. I got this one for Fountain Records. This is, according to Discogs, this is the best pressing. So it's a repress remaster. Stephen Wilson's remasters are very good. I haven't listened to it yet. I've listened to the album. The album's amazing. But I was keen to get hold of that. So that was from Fountain Records. That's in Stretford, which is a recommended place to pop into. Their last album, which really didn't cost me much at all. It was less than a tenner. It's really good. It's really good. 2023, I think. Whether there's any more to come, who knows? But yeah, so pick that up. I think it's on clear vinyl. I'll get it out. Moving away briefly, we've got my latest Vertigo Swirl arrival, May Blitz, which is in good nick. Comes with the inner as well. I mean, look at that. Look at that. I don't think you can get away with that anymore. I think someone somewhere would complain about that. What do you reckon? I think they probably would. Fantastic cover. Not heard it. I think I've heard one of their songs on one of the compilations, so looking forward to getting strips of that. Yeah, I think it's pure prog, isn't it? So or classic rock prog. But we'll see. It's next on the list to listen to. Obviously got the album on various formats, but I've just dipped into a little bit of Bowie. Not going headlong, that'd be dangerous, but Hunky Dory. I don't know which pressing it is. I do, because I had to dig it out on Discogs. Can't remember. It's a repress. It's one of the second or third represses. So it was in, I think it was either the same year or the year after. It wasn't that long after the original. It's a really nice clean copy though. Didn't cost much. Into some cassettes, sorry. And I got this from Fountain Records as well. Cherry Red do these sort of box sets of C89 to this. Obviously, these are like basically indie jingly jangly pop from 1989. So you've got the Roses on here. You've got the Candy Darlings, Red Chair Fade Away, never heard of them. Strawberry Story, the Mock Turtles, the Lars are on here. So it's a bit of a mix. There's lots of stuff you will never have heard of, and probably it might be the band's best song by miles, and the rest might be terrible. Don't expect amazing production, but they're really interesting. I pop them on and just while I'm doing other things, and you end up finding 2 or 3 gems that you didn't know about. So it wasn't overly expensive to pick that up. Again, I'm not going down a rabbit hole with this lot, but I've listened to a few things while streaming, and I've listened to a few things by Yes. The reason why I've gone down that road is because of Porcupine Tree. I watched a documentary and they said they supported them. I was like, really? They were quite disparaging about the tour because all the Yes fans wanted to hear was the Yes classics, not the new stuff. So the last thing they wanted to hear was a new band. So they said it was quite a tough tour, but I picked up a reissue of Fragile and one a few years later called Relayer. I have heard that and it's good. I'm not like sold on them, but again, I find it quite interesting to listen to. There's a lot of interesting parts to the song. I think a lot of the songs are good or have good bits within them, and then it goes off into elements and realms that I'm really not that arsed about at all. But there's enough interest to hold me, so I'm going to stick around with the sort of early albums and see what it brings. Again, not costing a lot of money, so why not? So, wrapping up the last couple, and unsurprisingly, it's Porcupine Tree again. I showed the vinyl version of this in absentia, and this is the CD box set, which has got a Blu-ray with it as well. And when it comes to extras, they're great. So in the front, and then you've basically got a book which goes through each song, the making. It's got loads of really great imagery. I just think it's, again, attention to detail from Steven Wilson when he releases stuff seems to be tip top. So I just can't resist. There's Fear of Blank Planet's got this. There's about 3 of 4 of the albums have got this treatment. I will be purchasing them all. Absolutely inevitable. And then the last big hitter, and again, it's Porcupine Tree. The Delirium Years CD box set. This is quite something. Didn't pay too over the odds for it. So it has a poster, and then it has a mock-up of the a copy of the 1995 tour. Manchester Roadmenders. I don't think I ever went to a gig at Roadmenders. Where was Roadmenders? Can someone in the comments let me know? I thought Northampton had Roadmenders. They have. Right, I reckon that's the Roadhouse. It's got Northampton Roadmenders there. I think that's a typo. So let me know. I'm going to say that's the Roadhouse, which I've been there millions of times. Sadly, no more. And then there's a huge book. Huge book. Which has got great imagery. It's got the story behind all the albums, the tours. I mean, it's fantastic. And then I think basically you've got every album released between 91 and 97 underneath that, which I think comes out about 13 discs. So anything you possibly want and more. I've listened to a few. Again, I was out celebrating in the car Crew Alexander's fantastic victory at Crawley yesterday, as I've been to watch a bit of random football elsewhere in the FA Vars, and I was driving back and I listened to 2 of their earlier albums to get a feel, and it is very different from the latter period where the metal sound of things started to become much more prevalent. Still quite progressive. There's definitely bits of Pink Floyd. There's bits of Hawkwind. There's a bit of sort of progressive psychedelia. If you know the Amorphous Androgynous, who did a number of sort of compilations and then their own stuff as well, which is basically the guys from Future Sound London. It reminded me a bit of the pastoral psychedelia that they came up with as well. But really interesting, a lot less vocal than on the latter stuff, which is in the main, he sings on most songs. But really enjoyable, totally different, and I love this. There's nothing I like more. Anyone knows me, that I can get into the rabbit hole of an established artist, and I love discovering, going through the timeline, the tours, the personnel, the difficulties, the whole story, and then you can hear it through the music. And when you've got a better understanding of it, actually the music makes more sense, which is slightly different to when you might have been there and seen it and done it. And like a number of the bands I was watching in the early 90s, and then you go through the timelines with them. You were there. It means something a bit different. So it's more personal perhaps, but this is just great fun. I'm really enjoying the Steven Wilson part as well, because I've got a couple of his albums recently. So yeah, all good. That's where we're at. I'm holding off a room tour because we're doing a reshuffle. So this wall behind you will still be there, but what's behind what you can see is going to be changed. And the turntable that's in the other room is going to be in here. And it's all going to look great. And that's hopefully going to happen next month. So when I'm complete, then I'll do a little tour and run through all the mad stuff we've got here. And then we could do a separate one for the artwork, because I've got a huge amount of frame stuff, and we could do one about gigs and gigs that relate to art. We've got so much we can do. So yeah, thanks for stopping by and watching. As always, like and subscribe if you haven't already. This fella, should we go for a walk? Should we go for a walk? I think we should. Come on then. Time to go.